Paul asked, what do you do with fiber if someone has SIBO? Well, typically, if someone actually has SIBO, they probably won't respond very well to it. So let's just define what we'll see first. We'll probably see bloating, gassiness, belching, maybe pain, because the plant fibers in particular can be a bit harder to digest in general. Most of them is actually excreted via the stool. Like a lot of our stool is made up of fiber and the fiber matrix wall. And so you can see a little bit more fermentation and gas production. So what do you do? You understand the symptoms first and see what happens when they consume what. Try and get a pattern. You need to ask questions first. You need to say, you need to know when, you need to know severity, you need to know timing. Actually, these questions are in your coaching tracker. In part of the client summary section, in the bottom is a bunch of questions that help locate give you information about the issue. You need to gather information first, see what's triggering it, because not all fiber or not all plants may actually be problematic. You want the person to be able to consume the least amount of restriction as possible, to have the least impedance on their life. Then, while they are addressing the issue, you may pull down that fiber to reduce the trigger foods. Because if we can reduce the triggers, we can give them some symptom relief. They can feel a bit better. We have more buy-in. We have more of a runway to actually help them get to the underlying body systems that are driving the issue. So the long story short is reduce it down, reduce the FODMAPs down until they have a level of symptom relief that you're both happy with. And then when you are bringing it back, a slow reintroduction on a food by food basis. This doesn't need to get too technical, but it's a slower titration in reintroduction of foods that might look like one food group at a time, one food group, one food at a time, every 3-ish days to observe the symptoms, particularly if they're sensitive. You don't need to go that slow all the time, but if they're particularly sensitive, you might just build up one food at a time. If you put in a truckload of new food again, they might naturally see an immune-related response. Would I start with certain food groups? I would start with quantities and types of foods that are a little bit less triggering. An example would be, I might start with, instead of starting with honey, I might start with like potato or sweet potato instead of starting with, so you try and start with single foods instead of food matrices, like a bunch of foods together. Try and start with like more singular molecule FODMAPs. What I mean is that like bring in like fructans first or a monosaccharide. Instead of bringing in a plant, bring in like a tuber, like a potato. Instead of consuming something raw, have something cooked because it breaks down like the whole like food matrix and like fiber wall more effectively. When you actually come with the case study, let me know. And I can walk you through it practically. We can do it on a call.